VPN at technophilespodcast.com. I'm David Geisler, and this is the Technophiles Podcast. All right, here we are back. This is episode 295, part 3. I'm joined with the regular cast, Jake Gill, Krista-Lee Malone, and Vee Laabs. Yo. And we just got done talking about augmented reality in part 2. And in part 1, we talked a little bit about Nintendo's future mobile app plans, didn't we, Vee?
Yes, we did.
Vee's experimenting with her microphone stand right now.
It got really short all of a sudden.
That's a little weird,
I didn't mean for that to happen.
She's pulling and twisting on cranks and screws here.
I was just literally trying to angle it up, and it went down like 3 inches. Thank you. There we go.
Perfect.
Yay.
There it is. Good, we're set. Excellent. I hope you're comfortable. Our listeners are like, what is going on right now? Oh, but we don't have listeners yet because... All right. We're back from the break. That was pretty seamless, wasn't it?
Oh my god.
Can we do that one again?
Yeah, why wasn't I Facebook Living your face that just turned 10 shades of red?
Let's keep going. Let's just own this. Let's just own this awkward entry of part 3.
Yeah, because we don't have amazing video and
it's okay.
editing software to fix it all.
Yeah.
The YouTube watchers are gonna love it.
We're live, but we're not. Okay.
They're loving this physical
Jacob Gill.
comedy.
I'm not
Did
your
I
mother.
do something wrong?
Yes.
What's up?
So what are we talking about?
We're talking about SignAloud.
SignAloud.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Hello, David. I don't know any sign language.
I know I remember this was flag, or this is like sunset. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I only know like the naughty stuff. You know what I mean?
This is grandma.
That's not safe for
sure
podcasts.
Let me say this real quick. We about 2 years ago, I'll kind of try to lead into this a little bit. Okay. 2 years ago, we did an episode on this show about the leap motion. I think we all kind of know what the leap motion is now. It's been used in the hacker community, not the hacker community, but the maker community a little bit here and there to basically just create X and Y values. Someone put their hand. It was essentially it was an Xbox Kinect shrunken down, and it projected up, and it could read your hand. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And the company that made the leap motion was very excited about this because they suspected that they could create virtual keyboards in the air, that it could read your hands, and it could read your hands in 3-dimensional space making certain gestures.
So that was like the Minority Report thing.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. And they also were very excited about this because they said, and it'll be able to read sign language. In fact, there was a company that took the leap motion, wrote some software that when people would leap motion sign language over the... do sign language over the leap motion, that software would then almost a bit like old-fashioned telephone or something, like say it to the other person on the other end of the Skype call or whatever.
Would you be limited then to the things you can go? Because, like, for example, you can say, like, I know. Right. It's not going to pick this up. So
the leap motion worked pretty good for reading your sign language. This is exactly why I'm using this as the lead-in. Gotcha. The leap motion worked pretty good to read sign language, but of course it could only be things where your hands are hovering in front of you.
Yeah. Spell shit out.
As Krista-Lee just pointed out, like when you say I know, you got to bring your hand up to your head and stuff like that. Leap motion couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So this company, not in direct response to that, but it sounds like this company might have figured out a way to do it. These group of guys.
Yeah. They have decided that they're going to do it's gloves. These are wearable gloves. And the thing that I think is very appealing about this is that they are very compact. They're very portable. Yeah. Super lightweight. And so you put them on and you start gesturing in ASL, and it translates it into spoken English that is projected through a computer. And so it's picking up your hand signals and your motions and then displaying, or not even displaying, but, projecting the speech out. Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
How are the gloves reading this?
A couple different major things. And Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple different things. It's doing a little bit of an advanced technology, the old Power Glove, where it can feel how much you're bending and sensing.
Really?
But much, much better than the so bad Power Glove. But in addition, it has some accelerometer sensors in the wrists, I understand, so it can feel
coming up to your head.
Coming up to your head and stuff. Jake, is there more to it than that?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of the gist of it, but it's kind of interesting because they're using machine learning for this. So a lot of it is like they're drilling the vocabulary into the gloves. It's almost like it's being pre-programmed. Right. And so, I was actually thinking about you're like building your database of language, which might be a little restricting, and hopefully in the future they can kind of expand upon this, but they're programming in the things that they want it to say, and then so when you do it, I was really impressed with how quickly it was able to respond to what the creators of this were able to do. So
because even when you use like something like Siri or Google now, there is that few seconds of lag where it kind of goes out and does its little machine learning back at Apple servers or Google servers, figures out what to say, sends it back to you. Actually, a lot of that lag might be more the data going across the internet. So is this all happening locally? Because you're saying it's machine learning, though.
It's going to Bluetooth. It Bluetooth to a
computer, and that computer does the processing.
Yep. At least for now. I mean, this is...
And on the back end, so the machine learning happens still just on the computer for now.
Yes.
Eventually, that data can also get put to a central database so that all the computers...
So, I mean, really, maybe we need to back this up a little bit. I found this on Facebook. It was shared... it was kind of in an educational space. These are two university students that created this. They won a $10,000 award for creating this, and they're like, hey, we're the inventors. Thomas Prior and Navid Azadi, they created this thing and won the award for it, and super slick. And I was just blown away by the video and just thinking, here are some young inventors, makers, and just fantastic work. Way to go, guys! Congratulations. Wow. So let's see if there's anything else that's kind of super interesting to talk about here. But they were kind of coming to the market as saying a lot of this is not new technology, as David just mentioned before. There's some other things that have come up before that as well, but a lot of them were like full arms, or you need this giant rig, and they're like, that is completely impractical.
Because in a lot of ways, you're also recording the arm, as we've kind of already pointed out.
Yeah.
So like, we're going to go right down and just do it on the glove. And they're like, we want it small, we want it compact, we want it lightweight, so that you can use this for an extended period of time and ultimately communicate with people who don't know ASL.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool. And I mean, they're almost kind of like little like biker gloves, or maybe, one size fit all gloves. And the little wrist thing is like half the size of like a Spider-Man web shooter, honestly. It's like not, you don't even really, it's nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's excellent.
It is very awesome. The other kind of thing that they were talking about in this is that there's definitely some other potential applications here. Stroke rehabilitation, or even using that, you hook it up with stroke patients, and then if they're struggling, now all of a sudden you can start using these for training, or just allowing them to kind of speak when they might not have been able to before. And obviously there's potential for like virtual reality interactions and things like that.
Because it can it record it must be able to at least record like the motions it's making. If it's like taking that information and turning it into speech, there you can also like record the motions, see progress on like how well they're moving over time, like as they recuperate. That would be interesting.
So it's getting the fine dexterity with all these sensors on the glove, but by having the accelerometer like feel a certain amount of G's in one direction, it can calculate that the wrist has moved in the opposite direction a certain amount of distance. And so that's kind of how they can get their three-dimensional X, Y, and Z's of the wrist and arm movement, even though they're not specifically recording the elbow and the shoulder.
So right now, but it's still transmitting all this stuff. It is checking against a library of gestures. So I have a feeling that someone who didn't create this yet, like the demo looked fantastic, but these guys have been practicing at it. So, I don't know. We haven't actually seen what happens when you just give it to someone who doesn't know anything about the software. Or the gloves, and just starts chatting.
Because I imagine everybody has their own kind of variations on like minute differences in how they sign different words and things like that.
It's really interesting when you like read about deaf people talking about people having different sign language accents. Which is very kind of cool.
Dialects or whatever.
I imagine they would probably write in something like you do with voice to text software, where right out of the box.
You have to do like training.
Yes, you basically have to train the software, right on the back.
And a lot of voice to text, you don't have to do that anymore. I mean, it's like we've gone that far with the database, so they might start with that. But anyway, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I apologize. You suspect that they maybe have you sign 10 or 20 different things just to get a sense of the. Yeah, that's possible.
Dragon does that too. Dragon dictation, where you can like have a voice profile that will recognize you better. Rather than
create the profile and recognize better. Or like also let's consider this. Whenever you do use something like Siri, we all know we do this, even though we kind of don't mean to. We all speak differently when we're speaking to Siri or Google now or whatever.
Sometimes you have to it's like you'll do it, you'll say the thing, and then you'll be like, oh shoot, I have to Sirify.
I have to kind of say it this way.
Sirify it?
Yeah, right. And maybe it's just a little bit more diction, or it's a little bit more intensity, or it's a little drawn out. It's not the same way that you would speak normally.
Yeah.
Some of that might have to happen here as well, but I don't know. It's not that big a problem.
Probably not. It'd probably be worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. So it can be used to speak out loud while doing sign language, but can it also type out sign language?
I suppose theoretically.
Yeah, I mean, that seems very possible.
Yeah.
It's all going through a computer right now.
Yeah, computer makes the noise,
Yeah, computer's making the noise. So, you do have to have the computer with you.
But we have supercomputers on our phones now.
Well, you give it another 2 or 3 years.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. And I think that they're not the only people in this space, and I think that other people are trying to kind of do that stuff as well. But it's really cool to see, recently a lot of things have been popping up in my feed about these kind of, we're using technology to empower people to do things they can never do before.
Right.
And, I personally don't know ASL, but if someone had those gloves and they had their phone, that would be so cool. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing would be how do we communicate back if they're not lip readers?
So that was one thing that...
if they're not lip readers.
Yes, I understand. There was one positive to that old leap motion thing I was talking about from a year ago, because it was, imagine having a FaceTime or a Skype or a Hangout with someone, and they're moving their hands in front of the leap motion, and then it's typing or saying that on the other end. Mm-hmm. Well, what was happening is they had animations for the flip end. Okay. So you would talk, and then animations would happen on the flip side for the deaf person to read the ASL, or it would type, but it also would do animations, which is kind of interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, it probably could just type, but the animations are interesting, so maybe that can be expressed another way. I mean, I don't really know where that goes. It's not like people are walking around with animatronic hands just for ASL. I'm not sure what the answer is here, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right in that, I don't know, how do you actually communicate back then? I guess
we have phones and we can.
But so maybe we're not quite there yet, but think about. Nope, never mind. Taking back what I was about to say because I thought about it in my brain. It doesn't make any sense. So ignore that. Let's see here.
So here, let me cover
you. Krista-Lee saved me.
So here's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
This, I'm sure there's probably some people who can't lip read, but I also imagine that a lot of people probably can. It's probably harder to get the message across to the hearing person rather than the hearing person getting the message to the deaf person who has had to learn how to cope with this for their whole life.
Yeah, I could see that.
If we're totally off, by the way, be sure to let us know.
Let us know, but I think...
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure they would still come up with something to put it across.
This is, right. And then
if only they could create a device that would connect to our lips and feel the movement of our lips and then posit that as a voice on a computer. Stupid. I'm just making a dumb joke. Anyway.
It's okay. I'll plug into Matrix.
It's a great, awesome first step.
That's really
whether
cool.
it's this, whether it's this company or other technologies, other companies that are working on it. I mean, it's helping to bridge the gap that is existing right now and breaking down some barriers. And that's just what I thought was so cool. It was that and the fact that, these are young guys. This is slick tech.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's very cool.
Young guys, the thing that was so impressive to me when I was considering it for the newscast was that from a design point of view, they've taken 1, 2, 3, they've taken all these different axes of what used to have to be recorded almost with an exoskeleton type of arm, and they can deduce that math just from the accelerometers on the wrists, and that's really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
This makes me I always think about what how do persons with disabilities work with virtual reality, and how can we make it accessible to all people? I think this would be really interesting and exciting for those who use ASL to communicate, and to integrate that into a virtual reality setting to be able to communicate. It will just pop up the words on the screen or say them in VR even.
Okay.
That always, because they won't be able to, maybe not talking to a mic and so on, but that breaks down that barrier even in VR. When I was reading Ready Player One, I was how do people who maybe can't use their hands well move around in Oasis and things like that? Mm-hmm. And this not only in real life, it'll probably extend to all the emerging technologies we have now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so some other companies are talking about taking some of this stuff and actually, if they can get it economically, if the scale is right, then you can start mass producing and doing things like getting on mobile devices. Because then you're like, hey, I have, boom, I'm going to pull this out and we're going to do this. But I think, like I said before, this breaking down communications, it's also just enabling, think about like deaf, hard of hearing community. So much of their, so much must happen where I'm in my comfort zone because I know that I can go to these places and get what I need and do these things. Now you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you can, it's like, I can go there and I can be like, I want, and I'm sure, not to even say that they couldn't do that before, right? Yeah. But this is just, it's just easier.
Mm-hmm. It's one less frustration.
It's one less frustration.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Exactly. And so it's like, that's sweet.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
I don't know. I was just thinking like how I would probably go postal if I had this kind of issue. Go postal?
Okay.
It's an expression.
You get very upset?
From years ago. Yeah. Like, okay, me before coffee. You've seen this, David. You know how I am. If I walked into Collectivo and could not express my order, this could be a very bad thing.
You'd be upset.
Right. I would be very upset.
Yeah.
So, like, I immediately went to the coffee and be like, yes, like, if obviously I'm hearing that's not an issue, but if I was, I would love to be able to, like, put on the glove, get my coffee, and not have to deal with that frustration first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I've also had friends who've worked in fast food who, have people who speak ASL come up and sign at them paper. Like, I'm going to write out my order to them. And like the people they're working with are just not understanding at all. This is going to make that a lot easier as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Just simple interactions are going to be so stress-free.
Yeah.
It's going to be excellent.
So yeah, that's, I wanted to talk about that today. I wanted to say well done to the gentleman and congrats. Very well-deserved prize, I think. I don't know who else was in the mix. But.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are they a company or are they still just two guys?
They're on that fringe, it feels like.
Yeah. They're probably on the cusp.
They've got a name.
Right.
What's the
SignAloud.
SignAloud. All right.
I didn't dig too deep into like if they're a company or whatever.
It was so cool too. I mean, I was just repeating what I just said earlier, but it's like there's some serious sensors on those gloves, but it's not like they're creating. It's more the algorithms and stuff that's really impressive here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And tech has been around.
And those gloves move as fast as your arms can move.
Yeah,
they're just in the air. There's no wires or pulleys.
Well,
or
and so
anything.
the award was given out by MIT, and so this was like the top prize. So it's definitely okay. The gloves are sweet, but it's also like the algorithms, the math, the components, the hardware. How they're piecing this all together. Basically, they built a solid package.
It was pretty impressive, actually. Their first dev was just 6 Wiimotes duct taped around their wrist.
So, as far as like people actually,
you heard it here first.
As far as people actually adopting it, this might sound silly, but for actual adoption, I think it actually is important that it is very small. That it does not look dumb, because it doesn't. Like, I'm looking at that and like, okay, the red is an interesting color choice that I wouldn't go with, but you could very simply tweak this where not go with navy blue.
I'm just joking.
Should go with black.
You would, I hope.
Everyone else would go with navy blue.
Yeah. But anyway, yes.
Right. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is something this would not.
You're not wearing RoboArm for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this looks like, this actually looks kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that, you could wear that down the street and it's not going to stand out. Like, if I saw somebody wearing that and I hadn't seen the story, I would probably think that is an interesting fashion choice, or that is an interesting accessory.
You'd be intrigued.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, easy to slip on, easy to slip off. It's like, oh, I need my glove right now. All right, I'm gonna bring it out. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Excellent. Well, let's see. I see we wrapped this episode up. That was awesome. Thanks for bringing that, Jake. If people want to tweet you about their about anything, they can tweet you where? That was weird. My voice changed as if it was like the Mad Libs underline.
Tweet me about anything.
Right.
If you have anything to say about this, if you have experience in this community, frustrations in this community, anything like that, you can find me on Twitter at Critical Owl.
At Critical Owl. Krista-Lee, part 2, we were talking all about augmented reality. If people want to chat with you about that, they can find you on Twitter at
GamerAnthro. We can chat about putting these gloves with the glasses from the last episode.
Yeah.
It would work.
It's definitely a possibility.
That's excellent.
Definitely a maybe.
Yes.
Vee Laabs, part 1, we talked all about Nintendo's plans for future apps like Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing, things like that. Mm-hmm. We'll see how many years it takes for them to get a legit Mario game on a phone. I'm guessing 4 years. If I had to throw a nickel in a fountain right now, I'd guess 4 years or whatever. Yeah. But if they want to talk to you about that, they can find you on Twitter at...
They can find me at bear_Annika.
Fantastic. We love it when people tweet the show at Technophiles Pod, or find us on Facebook, iTunes, and Stitcher by searching Technophiles Podcast, or go to our YouTube page by searching Technophiles Podcast, and of course our website, technophilespodcast.com. I just said Technophiles and podcast a lot. We'll be back here in the studio next week. It'll be exciting to...
The Technophiles Podcast studio?
We'll be back here in the Technophiles Podcast.
Is it painted navy blue?
You'll be Sansa Jake next week, so it'll be.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're on vacation or something. No,
you know what? I have no idea what I'm doing.
I just did the Wisconsin. No, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure. A surprise has been planned.
Oh, that's right.
That I can't do anything. I was also told.
My wife said you can't do the podcast, and I'm not telling you why, but it's a surprise, and we will. So in 2 weeks, we're going to learn all about what happened.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Should we try to get one of the other TPNers on here with us next week?
You can probably do that.
Sure.
I'll send out a Slack, an internal Slack, and see.
Dude, I'm gonna miss you guys.
We'll miss you too.
But You'll
probably be having an amazing time, whatever the surprise is.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. I mean, like last time this happened, she took me to Once, which is I love the movie, and I saw the musical, and she was like, "Yeah, we're going somewhere tonight." I'm like, "Cool," and then we ended up going seeing that, and that was amazing. So yeah, she set the bar relatively high.
You can Facebook Live part of it, and then we
hopefully
can talk
I can.
about it.
I don't know. There might be like
over to Pui, be
we'll
like,
see.
Please put that down.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. So,
awesome.
It should be fun. I'll miss you guys, but I'll see you in 2 weeks.
That'll be fantastic. Until then, you can find me on Twitter at Rapture Paint. Have a good week, everybody.